2024 has been the best year of Alex Pereira's career, not only just for Pereira, it has been the best year for almost any champion ever, but it may not be enough to be considered the fighter of the year. Now, I know that's going to be a very hot take, and I do believe right now, if the year were to end today, tomorrow, he absolutely would be the fighter of the year. But Pereira has one small issue. So, Pereira, his 2024 accolades, he's done an insane amount of work this year. Finished Jamal Hill, finished Yuri Prochazka on short notice in the rematch. He finished Khalil Roundtree with an arguable fight of the year. That probably is the fight of the year. That does add to his resume. And he saved 3 pay-per-view main events. If you recall UFC 300, they wanted to do Adesanya versus DDP. But DDP said he couldn't make it. And if Pereira didn't step up to fight Jamal Hill, we would have had a Zhang Weili main event for UFC 300. He saved UFC 303 after Conor McGregor pulled out, and that was International Fight Week, another massive pay-per-view that he saved, stepping up on short notice. And not only has he been saving these cards, he's been the highlight of the card. Maybe not for UFC 300, but he still had a crazy knockout. He was the star of the show at International Fight Week. And then for the Salt Lake City card, again, if he didn't step up to save the pay-per-view, we would have had a Pennington versus Pena main event. Because if you recall, they wanted to do Arman versus Islam in Abu Dhabi. Islam couldn't make it. So then they had to push back Illia versus Max to Abu Dhabi. Pereira stepped up short notice and had the fight of the year. Again, it was a horrible card up until that fight. So his accolades this year have been incredible. But the reason he may not be fighter of the year is because of the level of competition. Now, who would take his place? People are going to be mad at this. Illia Topuria, 2024 accolades. This is, keep in mind, I'm only saying this if he beats Max Holloway. That's why there is a may in the title of the video, because we don't know how he's going to do against Max Holloway. Max Holloway coming off of arguably the best win of his career, outside of maybe Jose Aldo. But if he beats Max Holloway, his resume for the year would look like he finished Volkanovski, he would have beat Max Holloway, he would have had the highest level of competition for the first 2 title fights of their career in history. Volkanovski, then Holloway, and this is the guy people are saying, oh, Illia, he's ducking, he doesn't want to fight anyone. If he beats Holloway and Volk, that's the greatest 2, probably the greatest back-to-back fights ever. And he would have beat 2 top 10 fighters of all time, in my opinion. Volk, I think, is top 3. But yeah, that, if he beats Max Holloway, he may just be above Pereira for this year. And again, if he beats Holloway, he has 2 fights compared to Pereira's 3? I mean, that's only 1 more title fight against the 8th ranked guy. Now, I know Khalil did not look like number 8 out there. He looked like number 2, 3. He looked phenomenal. Gave Pereira his hardest fight, probably to date, even harder than the Blachowicz fight, in my opinion. But if Illia, if he knocks out Holloway, automatically fighter of the year. He would have been the first person to ever knock out Max Holloway, who has one of the best chins in UFC history. You know, if it's maybe a split decision, Illia, just razor close fight, maybe you give it to Pereira. But I think if he is able to beat Max Holloway by either a unanimous decision, submission, or knockout, he is fighter of the year. Now, this debate is kind of similar to last year's debate. So if you recall, it was Sean Strickland versus Islam Makhachev last year for the fighter of the year. Now, in 2023, he finished Abus. You know, not a great level of competition, not even ranked, but, you know, not his fault. If you're fighting someone that isn't great and your level's above them, you should be able to finish them quickly, and that's exactly what he did. He beat Amavov, who is a good fighter. He stepped up on short notice. It was a bit of a weight difference because, you know, short notice, everything. It may have been a catch weight. And then he beat Adesanya in one of the biggest upsets ever. phenomenal performance, boring fight, but still a very good defensive performance. But if we go over to Islam Makhachev, he finished Volkanovski. Granted, the reason why this is a different debate is because Volk stepped up short notice, 10 days notice. Not really fair, but if you have that big of an advantage, you know what you do? You go out there and you finish him in the first round. And the head kick was always going to be there. It wasn't really a short notice thing. Maybe because Volk was hesitant, he got caught. But still, he beat the best version of Volkanovski we have ever seen in his home country. He beat the best version of a top 3 fighter to ever live in his home country. That is one of the best performances in championship history by both men. And I think that alone could, boost him to become the fighter of the year. That would be the argument for him last year. And this year, it's kind of similar. But Illia, if he beats Holloway, there's not really going to be an asterisk unless it's like a robbery, So if he finishes Max Holloway, I believe that Illia will be the fighter of the year if he is able to do it. Again, right now I am saying, that's why there's a may in the title before people get mad. I am saying right now Pereira is the fighter of the year. But if Illia is the first person to finish Max Holloway and finish Volkanovski, he is the fighter of the year. That is the highest level of competition we have probably ever seen in back-to-back fights. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree. I assume most people will. But yeah, that's it for me.